Hello and welcome to a short video talking about the new Advanced Fighting Fantasy Magic Companion. This book is really a companion volume to the Combat Companion, so it's a companion to a companion. Whereas the Combat Companion built on some of the new options, some of the new talents, some of the new rules, for fighter types, warrior types, and so on. The Magic Companion is there to do the same thing for mages, for spellcasters, and sorcerers of all sorts. So this came out a few days ago. The print version is not yet out, but will be available soon. So what we wanted to do with this book was really put together a whole load of different options. You're not going to include every single one in every single game. You're not going to include every bit of this. But there's a lot in there. We've got some general bits about history of magic. We look at some of the pre-existing magic styles that were published in earlier books. And then we get onto the new stuff. So there's new talents, new special skills, as you'd expect. There's a whole load of new and optional rules. There's loads of new magical styles and so on. There's some new spells for existing styles. And then we finish off with a bit about magical monsters. And to make things easier, as we did with the Combat Companion, we've put a checklist in. So you can decide what rules you want to apply to your game. If it's ticked in your book, the rule applies. If it's not ticked, it doesn't. And that way, the players have absolutely no doubt what rules will apply in the game and which ones won't. So we went through all of the existing magic styles and we discussed them. Fairly short chapter, just a couple of pages. But we've summarized them here with minor magic, wizardry, sorcery from the original rule book, with various ones from the Hero's Companion, from extra books like Black Sand, and then the ones from this book with which UPS table they use and where you find that, because we put some new UPS tables into here. And so we wanted to have a sort of point of reference that people could just easily see what was where. And it discusses a little bit about how those magical styles work. We've got in here the concept of the primary magical styles and the secondary. So primary is wizardry. If you learn wizardry, you can't learn another primary style like sorcery. You can learn a secondary like minor magic or enchanting. So we've then got some new talents. So we've got empowerment here. We've got soul store to store spells. Hedge magician, very, very good at casting minor magic, unable to cast more powerful magics, and so on. So there's a whole load of new talents you can drop into an existing game or into a new campaign. And we've got critical tables for spell casting, because normally if you roll a double one when you're casting, it's a critical, but nothing happens. So now we've put in a critical table for spells. We've also put in some new UPS tables. So sorcery has its own one, enchanting has its own one, and psionics has its own one, and so on. Now, some of these are here, some of these are in specific chapters, but you've got a whole load more specific UPS tables so that all of your different spell casting has different points of failure. And then we've got the new magical styles. Now, there are 9 new magical styles there. Some of them are very different to wizardry. Things like witchcraft. Witchcraft allows you to put curses on people, to summon golems, to create like a poltergeist effect. Whereas other things like illusionism has a list of spells that you spend magic points on, you make a casting roll. So we've got all sorts of different kinds. Then we've got stranger ones like rune carver, where you put runes onto items. We've got ones like prophet, where you can get random spells every day, so you don't know what you're going to get, but you've got a little bit more power than a wizard in total. So there's all sorts of different options here, and they all play very differently. And I think that's what we wanted to get with this book. We wanted to have it so that there are different ways to play a spellcaster. Now, there are lots of game systems out there where you can be an illusionist or a necromancer or a sorcerer or a wizard, and they all pretty much play the same way. You often have a set spell list, and sorcerers have these spells and necromancers have these spells with a bit of overlap, and then demonologists have these spells with a bit of overlap with necromancer and so on. They work in the same way. They have the same magic point economy or the same fatigue economy or whatever. You've just got different spells you can cast. What we wanted was very much to go with, if you are a witch, you don't have spells that you cast. You can do these things with magic. If you're a sorcerer, you have lots of spells and you cast them with stamina, and you can wear armor and fight a bit, but you need components and you make yourself weaker when you cast them. But when you're a wizard, you cast spells with magic points. You don't make yourself weaker, but you have less spells. And then with primal magic, you're not going to have many spells at all because they're quite rare, and you've got to find individual spells, but the spells themselves are very powerful, and so on and so forth. And so I wanted every magician type, every magic type, to be something quite different. We've got illusionism here. That's one of the ones that are very similar to wizardry. And we've got a little bit of a description. We've got some new rules, some casting, some new spells if necessary. We've got some new wizardry, minor magic, and sorcery spells in here. So even if you are a wizard and you're a playing wizard in a long standing campaign, you can still get this book. You've got a load of new wizardry spells that you can try and learn. There's a whole load of new minor magic spells. There's even a few new sorcery spells that you can swap in for some of the original sorcery spells. So it also expands what original wizards can do. And there are lots of extra rules in here for people who are already playing a wizard. So there are rules for increasing the power of a spell. So the default rules say that if you're casting a spell at a goblin, it can make a skill roll to avoid the effects. Now, there are two elements to that. Firstly, you can cast 20 spells at a goblin and it never gets any weaker at resisting them. Whereas you cast 20 spells at a hero, their luck goes down, they get weaker at resisting those spells. Goblin, that doesn't happen. Now, goblins don't tend to last very long, probably not a big issue. But you cast something like a powerful demon or a boss, and firstly, if they've got 12 skill, you're pretty much never getting spells through unless they fumble. And you can cast spell after spell after spell after spell at them, and they still won't get through because they've still got 12 skill. So we've put a rule in for waning protection. What we've also put in is some rules whereby you can overpower spells. So if you cast a spell at a creature with a skill of 12 and you really want to get the spell through, put some extra power points into it, some magic points, increase the power of that spell so that it doesn't have 12 skill to resist it. It might have 8 or 7 or 6 or 5. Now, it might cost you a lot of power points, but you can get your spell to work. Don't forget, enemies can use that too. The character with 12 luck, haha, I'm immune to spells, goes up against the wizard, who puts a whole load of power points in, the evil wizard, and gets that spell through and affects them anyway. Okay, so there's lots of options there that you can then build together. And we've also got some rules for magical monsters. So some of the element of casting against enemies is in here. We've also got some more templates. So if you've got the combat companion, you'll know that there are templates for chieftain and hero and warlord and so on. Well, what we've done is we've expanded out the idea of magical creatures. So you might have a troll shaman, and there's a table you roll on to see what their spell focus is. And if you've got a troll shaman or a master shaman or an apprentice shaman, there are different rules for those about what magic they have, how many magic points they have, what spells they have, and so on. And then if you've got a troll shaman of darkness, you roll on here to see what the spells are. Whereas a troll shaman of undeath rolls on here to find out some different spells. So what this means is, as a director, you can be designing your creatures and say, right, well, we need a troll shaman, roll a couple of dice, there we go, we've got a troll shaman. But just because you ran into a troll, the players ran into a troll shaman in the last session, doesn't mean this one will be the same. It'll have different magic points, different spells. So again, it keeps players on their toes. So it's a pretty packed book. You're not going to use every element in every game. Some bits you're going to read and think, nah, don't want that, not interested. Fine, that's up to you. This is a book of options. This is a book of tools. It's things to use. It's things to enhance your game. And enhance your fun really as a player. Because if you are a wizard, this gives you lots and lots and lots more options of things to do. You could become more powerful, and you could learn extra secondary styles like summoning and enchanting and primal magic and minor magic. You can get better at all of those, and so on. So there's lots of different options. And hopefully you'll find it useful in your games. Thank you very much.